In today's video, we'll be taking a look at who could be subleasing HYLN's property, and I could be wrong about it, and taking a look about what this company does. In their latest annual report, HYLN's annual report, under Item 2, Properties, they mention our headquarters are located in approximately 152,000 square foot facility comprised of 2 buildings that we lease in Cedar Park, Texas. In February 2025, we subleased approximately 27,000 square feet of this facility. Now, they don't mention who they sublease it to. They just mention that they sublease it out. And if you take a look at a map of where HYLN's at in Cedar Park, Texas, there's one of their buildings, HYLN Inc. And across from them, there's Creative 3D Technologies, and they do stuff with 3D printing. Floor King, and then there is another company shown on that map called Element USA Accelerator. Creative 3D Technologies, they do stuff with 3D printers, and you could think, well, HYLN, it does a lot of stuff with 3D printers. Maybe it's them. But if you take a look at this Cedar Park Economic Development and Tourism article dated February 20th, 2025, it mentions one of the latest companies to follow this trend is Element USA, a mineral extraction and refining company that aims to produce metals used in electronics, which is preparing to set up a facility in Cedar Park. The article is dated February 20th, 2025. In the annual report, it says in February 2025, we subleased approximately 27,000 square feet of this facility. Now, here's a YouTube video about Element USA, and let's listen.
Mentioned the accelerator, and maybe you can describe to the listeners. This is the accelerator in Round Rock, just north of us.
Yes. Yeah, it's in Cedar Park, and we've got 30,000 square feet of space.
So they have 30,000 square feet of space, and HYLN is leasing approximately 27,000 square feet of that facility. So the dates and the square footage match up. So it could be them, and it's just a guess. But let's listen to more about what this company does.
Research operation where we've got an analytical lab where we can do mineral characterization, defining what elements and what is the mineralogy in a particular waste. And then we can conduct the laboratory experiments, the bench scale experiments, and the pilot for developing flow sheets for extracting value out of different wastes. In the world we're focused on is inorganic industrial waste. So this would be from the aluminum industry, from the steel industry, from carbon, coal, the coal industry, copper tailings, phosphogypsum. And so what we do from a process standpoint is go through that characterization and then determine pathways to liberate and then separate and then commercialize the value that sits in a waste stream.
So instead of finding concentrated deposits of certain minerals and metals and rare earth metals, they're a research company that wants to find ways to extract these rare earth metals from industrial waste. So what types of metals are they extracting? And would this be of any use to, I don't know, say a kind of some sort of strange technology company?
Yes. For each material, Bridget, there's a discussion, how far do we go in the supply chain? I always say that we can't boil an ocean. If we're making iron, alumina, scandium, neodymium, and praseodymium, a residual, and there are other materials in there, like you said, yttrium, vanadium, chromium.
Now I know chromium, the power modules they use chromium to 3D print them. They use chromium powder to do it. So I could see HYLN having interest in it. And then they also mentioned neodymium, which I know is some sort of metal for making magnets. And they would also be interested in that too.
Each one of those supply chains, just from an operational standpoint, requires its own set of expertise in processing. So for each material, there's a question of how far down the supply chain do we go? And then where do we do that handoff with the next step in the process? So it could be for rare earth elements, we make a mixed rare earth concentrate of 20 or 40%, and we hand that off to someone else who's in the business of taking a concentrate like that and taking it to a 4N oxide. So each material becomes a strategic discussion of, hey, what's the complexity? Who's out there in the marketplace that we can partner with? And what's our ability to identify the proper place to hand it off? It's
in the annual report. There's also a place that reads, we are currently experiencing limitations on importation of high-strength rare earth magnets that we previously sourced from China. We are developing supply chain solutions to address these constraints and expect to secure magnet supply in sufficient quality and quantity to meet our future requirements. Let's see if he has anything to say about the supply chain.
we're in a pretty tough place because we're so far behind in reshoring and developing the supply chains for critical minerals, not only from a feedstock standpoint that we're talking more about, but then the intermediate processing. I think what's going on right now, as you see in the news, there's obviously negotiations going on between the U.S. and China on what does trade look like. But within Chinese policy, and as I understand it, is that there are restrictions about rare earths going into the defense industry, defense companies, and the Chinese industry.
Is HYLN a defense company, or is it something else? I'm not really sure what HYLN is, but
are requiring their supply chain partners to report where the critical minerals are going downstream, not just for the buyer of it, but who is all the way down to the consumer. And they have restricted that critical minerals can't go to defense companies like Lockheed, like Raytheon, like the others that play in that market.
GE Aerospace is another one.
And as I understand it, violators of those policies in the Chinese market are punished severely.
Wow.
And on top of that, they're really asking for supply chain information that I think, as I understand it today, ITAR, which is International Trade and Reporting, actually prohibits supplying that type of information to the Chinese. So it's one of those that you have to peel back the onion a little bit to realize the catalyst for change for reshoring these minerals really is going to come out of the defense industry, because the Chinese are restricting supply chain movement through the chain all the way down to defense companies, even today.
I mean,
Yes.
scandium is the highest value rare earth. I was just looking it up, maybe $3,000 a kilogram.
It can be, it has been as high as 3,000 a kilogram. And as you and I have talked about, the scandium as a scandium aluminum alloy can really significantly reduce the weight of aerospace applications. I think
Aerospace, isn't HYLN connected to an aerospace company?
a figure that sometimes is used, it could be as much as $9 million savings.
No, I'm thinking of like whoever is like coordinating this whole thing, and it's not HYLN, someone up higher up the food chain. These people are not stupid.
Fuel per year by using the scandium aluminum alloy. So yeah, the scandium is an intriguing one because the global market technically understands the value of scandium, but potential users of scandium aluminum alloys are reluctant to adopt that alloy as their material for fear that the supply chain gets interrupted, and they've gone through a significant process of recapitalizing their operations to use the alloy and then run the risk of the scandium supply being cut off, because today most of the scandium is coming out of China and Russia, which puts you at risk. as we know that China's a couple, certainly 15 years ago, cut off supply of rare earths. So if you're the C-suite of a major company that's deploying alloys for making the skin, for instance, of aerospace companies and operations, that's a risk that's too big. But I think the cool thing is that we're starting to see some other scandium suppliers, namely Rio Tinto is now making scandium aluminum alloys. They're extracting the scandium out of the wastes from their iron operations up in Quebec. So I think, over the next 5 to 10 years, I think we're going to see significant growth in scandium.
Things to think about. It could be them that they're subleasing it out to. It could be someone else. Thanks for watching.